So I have a buddy who's a really good day trader, and he's been doing this for decades now. And when I learned about his strategy, it absolutely blew my mind away. So essentially what he does is that he looks for penny stocks that have gapped up, and he looks to short them. And I remember asking him, why would you be shorting a stock that is ripping higher and higher pre-market? And he smiled and told me because fundamentally, most of these companies are garbage. These penny stocks are destined to fail. And when the technical setups confirm it, that's when I hammer in the short. And that literally changed the way I look at picking assets and markets to trade. So my friend has a fundamental macro bias, which is penny stocks are garbage and should be shorted. Now, what most people do, they kind of fumble into an asset or a market to trade. They trade Forex because their buddy trades it. They trade crypto because all over social media. And on top of that, they come into each trading day trying to figure out whether they should be shorting or longing that day. They don't really have a true macro edge like my friend does. But as traders, the battlefield that you choose is so important. And if you get that one part right, you're already putting the odds in your favor to succeed. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. And I'll give you the complete framework that will change the way you look at the markets. Now, all I ask for you is that you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's get into it. There are two things that we need before we even think about placing a trade, and that is a macro fundamental bias and a macro technical bias. Now, most traders have neither of those, and essentially what they are doing is that they are reacting to noise on a 1 minute and a 5 minute chart. But when you have both of these macro biases, then you're not just guessing anymore. You are trading with the true edge. Let me show you what I mean. So first, you need a macro fundamental bias, which is essentially your long-term powerful why. Now, back to my friend, his thesis is that penny stocks are garbage companies and they are destined to fail. So on a macro level, he is short bias. That's his macro fundamental bias. He's not wondering whether he's going to go long or short today. His core thesis is that when these companies gap up, they are fundamentally overvalued and not worth the gap up. So then when his technical patterns show up, he's not just trading technical patterns. He's trading the technical patterns with the fundamental bias that he has. Now, for me personally, I trade gold futures and my macro fundamental bias is bullish. And these are the reasons. Governments around the world are constantly printing money. There's a lot of global uncertainty.
The White House threatening mass firings of federal workers.
American families would be hurt in ways they almost have never been.
In Nepal, frustration over corruption, nepotism, and broken promises boiled over.
And investors are prone to put money into safe assets like gold. There's persistent inflation around the world. There's massive global debt.
Without exaggeration, American debt is a ticking time bomb.
And these are huge structural forces. And it gives me a powerful why, fundamentally, for why I should be bullish on gold. Now compare that to something like a Euro USD. What's the long-term fundamental story? It's often a coin flip. These are basically two economies with similar problems, and they're both printing money. There's no clear dominant why. Now, just having a great story isn't enough. You need to also confirm that the market actually agrees with you. And that is where the macro technical bias comes in. And this one is real simple. Basically, what you do is you look at a higher time frame chart, like the daily and the weekly, and you ask yourself one question. Is there a clear, obvious trend that is in line with your fundamental story? So if your fundamental bias is bullish, you also want to see a clear uptrend on the weekly chart. A sustained pattern of higher highs and higher lows. So if I have a bullish macro fundamental bias on gold, then I'm looking for a macro technical bias to match my fundamental, right? So the way to do it is that I like to go on the higher time frame chart. So right now I'm on a 30-minute chart for gold futures. I'm going to go to the weekly chart. So now each of these candles represents 1 week. Essentially from 2024, we are on this really bullish run on gold, right? So on a macro technical bias level, I could see that I am also bullish. You could also look at this on a line chart. What do you guys see? That we are constantly going up here on gold. So from there, essentially what I'm looking for is just my entry triggers. buy low, sell high. I'm looking to buy gold at a good price and sell it at a higher, going with these two macro biases that I have. Now let's compare this to something like a Euro USD. And as we talked about, I don't have a macro fundamental bias on Euro USD because essentially these are two governmental entities that have similar problems. They are both printing money. So there is really no fundamental bias on a macro level for me. Now, if I'm looking at for a macro technical bias, I will be looking at this on a weekly chart, right? So this is the weekly chart on Euro USD. So what do you see? Is there a clear trend like what we see earlier on gold? No, we are essentially chopping. So if you are choosing to trade Euro USD, I'm not saying that you can. There's many people that are trading Euro USD, they are trading Forex pairs, but you could see that you don't really have a clear technical bias on a higher time frame, and you also don't have a clear fundamental bias. Your job just becomes so much more difficult. I like to trade assets that have a clear macro fundamental bias and they have a clear macro technical bias. It just makes your job so much easier. And this way, your fundamental bias is matching your macro technical bias. So once you have your two macro biases aligned, the rest becomes so much simpler. You're no longer guessing your direction. You're just waiting for your entry trigger. And whenever you're in the trade, you are pretty confident because you are trading with the bigger picture, with your fundamental story and your macro technical bias. These are my 4 trades that I took this week, and each of them were wins. So this week I had 4 wins, 0 losses. Again, my fundamental, my technical bias on gold right now is long, and no matter what gold is doing here on these retracements, I'm not looking to short gold because they are going against my fundamental and technical bias. On Wednesday, we had a retracement down during Asia, and again, during this whole move down, I'm not looking to short gold because of my bias. And I know that anytime gold is going to be going back up higher very strongly because you have all of this bullish pressure to the left side. So when this move is happening on the way down, I'm looking for good locations to be buying gold. I'm literally doing the same exact thing over and over again every single day. And if I go through my trades here, you could see that this is the first trade on Monday that I showed you earlier on the chart, but this is the entry, right? We had this big impulse move up from a good location, from a previous day high. We pushed through, we were holding previous day high, we broke it, and I have my target right there. We go to a different trade. Let's look at this trade here as another example. And what do we see here? Again, previous day high. I have a big push up here, a big impulse 30-minute candle. We have the previous day high holding, and boom, we have targets to the left. So essentially, I have a set of rules and a particular setup that I look for every single day that is in line with my technical bias and my fundamental bias. Now here's the thing, guys, trading is hard enough. Don't make it harder on yourself by trading the markets that put the odds against you. In my opinion, the market that you choose is actually more important than your strategy. So before you do anything else, find your 2 macro biases. Find the market with a clear why and one that is clearly in a trend on the higher time frame. And once you do that, the entire game changes. It gives you clarity, it gives you conviction, and it stops you from being a reactionary trader. And whenever you're trading with your macro fundamental bias and your macro technical bias, you're basically trading with the current. It's like you are a surfer and you're trading with the wind and not against it. And that puts the odds so much more in your favor. Alright guys, I hope that you enjoyed today's video and you got some value from it. And I really wanted to make this video because I feel like the asset and the market that we trade are not often talked about on the YouTube videos. People are always talking about strategies and psychology, but not many people are talking about the actual assets that we're trading and why it's so important that we pick the right assets. So if you enjoyed today's video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. There's going to be a lot more videos like this coming soon. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. See you next time.